Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Norm.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ryan.
Ryan
Kiser.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
For those of you who don't know, Ryan Kiser is a key member of the Tested team and was formerly a key member of the Mythbusters team.
Yes.
You are the production manager. You keep all the elements of Tested, the editors and the shooters and the talent and the folks and the details running smoothly.
Talent is the most difficult.
Thanks for taking that
from me. Bunch of rough motherfuckers. That's totally to be sure.
But you guys work together also on Mythbusters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
You did about the same thing on Mythbusters.
Pretty much the same thing. Really,
and let me just tell you, in every production company, the production managers, they keep the water running. They keep the buses running on time. It is a thankless and difficult job. You cannot perform it without somebody being mad at you, if I'm not incorrect, right?
Very true. Very
you have to take that. Like, I watched a lot of production managers on Mythbusters try this in a lot of different ways, and some people were broken by the job.
It happens. You know, the thing is, it really just comes to people just need stuff and need stuff fast. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it comes down to. Get it fast and smile. And
get it done.
Good to go.
Regulate.
Yes. I always tell like young PAs, anytime in any production, it's just like, you're going to mess up, right? It's inevitable. You're going to mess up. You make people happy as you do it, and they're going to forget that you messed up.
Yeah.
This is totally true. And in film, a screw up is just a temporary setback. And Definitely. If you don't take it on the chin and you keep your nose to the grindstone, most people will forget that you headed out to the location with keys to another car in your pocket. I did that on my second job as a PA.
For a second, I thought, I was like, wait, did I do that?
It's why everyone should start at that job. Start if you've never done the entry level, the most menial task, you're never going to relate.
And let me tell you, the entry-level job is both tedious, exhausting, stressful, and boring. And it is all of those things at the same time to work as a PA.
Absolutely. And, actually, I don't know if it was, I started off as a PA at Mythbusters. I just moved up really quick, but you do a lot of running. You do a lot of running. It's really, because people ask us all the time, it's like, oh, what do you do? What's your day, what was it a day like on Mythbusters? And you're just like, hot. You just spend a lot of time outside, and you're just running. You're just running around, and then boom, stuff explodes, and then you go on to the next day, and then same thing.
And I'm going to segue here because you said it's hot.
Yeah.
Because holy hell, literally, it's hot as balls in San Francisco. My deck thermometer read 105.
What, you almost hit
weekend.
The peak, the record, 106.
It was absolutely. I'm not saying that my beautiful restoration hardware brass thermometer is super accurate. It's probably plus or minus 4 or 5 degrees, but and the heat hasn't broken. It's Tuesday, and it is still like really unpleasantly hot in this shop.
It's hot.
Yeah, and most people, included myself, do not have AC. I don't understand what that is.
There's
never needed to be. Yeah.
There's almost no air conditioning in San Francisco.
At all.
If you're from somewhere else in the world, it's rarely ever above 75 degrees here.
Because we made a pact with the Bay when we moved here, was that the fog would keep us cool and comforted, and we'd have natural air conditioning and the water absorbing all the heat. But it was insane.
Look, the whole thing that happened last year, where we were in the throes of a 6-year drought, the worst drought we'd had in hundreds of years in the Bay Area. The denizens of the Bay Area, and then it was solved by an epic rainy winter. Yeah. Now, that's great that in one season our drought was like all of our reservoirs were back up to normal. That's awesome. But that's just the same terrible global warming, destabilizing weather patterns affecting us in a positive way just by happenstance.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hurricane Irma's just been upgraded to Category 5 and is heading towards people. This is it's destabilizing because again the nights are beautiful. Like on my deck, there's no more magical place to be in the mission than on my deck with my family and my friends and hanging out as I have been all this weekend. But it is tinged with this like, world's ending.
It's hot, people. It's hot. I'm originally from Las Vegas, and people was like, oh, this is like nothing. But something like Las Vegas is like designed You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody has air conditioning. I mean, grocery store, everything.
You can walk into a casino, you're all right.
Yeah, you're good. You're like, I don't need.
The
Yeah.
foyer of a casino has better air conditioning than any house you will ever live in.
Fair. And accurate. Completely accurate. And that's what we realize here is like once it hits like 80 here, like you just, you know what I mean? We're just losing our minds.
Our infrastructure is not made for it. Our constitution is not made for it. I saw you treated Maggie, your dog,
I took Maggie
to some relief.
So Maggie, my wire border terrier, is about 25 pounds, and she's real hairy and like she's not soft. I've talked about this. I love her to death, but she's not soft. Well, I made her soft this weekend. I looked up a couple of YouTube videos, grooming your wire terrier. Right? Because I wanted to know, one, how hard it was to groom a dog. Like, what could I expect? So I watched a couple of videos of dogs, and I saw the arrangement, which is like, a leash just kind of going up. That's really key. It doesn't have to be taut, but a leash so that they can't quite sit down. And if the leash is going up, the dog is like, oh, the leash is there, so I'm just hanging.
Oh.
And then I pulled out my
That sounds like some torture device.
No. To be clear, she's wearing a collar and the leash is loose. The leash is literally...
So it's psychological training.
Totally.
Got it.
And I noticed that dog groomers all had the dog's leash going up out of frame. And I was like, oh, I got to do that. And then I had bought a really nice pair of clippers for my bear costume. And so I used those, and I was like, oh, they're like, use the number 5, use the number 0, and do this, and fade it this way. And I was like, I had all the attachments, so and she was amazing. Maggie was fabulous. She just stood there, and while I shaved a dog's worth of hair off of her.
Because she's so grateful right now.
Yeah, she's, and it's like, we got a new dog.
Aww. Maggie's great.
And she's soft all of a sudden. We
She's
can't
soft.
stop petting her, and she's all like, oh, I love this.
Now every 3 weeks she's gonna be like coming up to you, holding the.
I'm ready to shave her again. This was too much fun.
That's awesome. I'll bring my cat in. We can work on the cat now.
Absolutely. I'm sure cats are easy to shave.
Easy.
One of the fun things about working with Ryan at Tested is everyone assumes people who work with us is a super nerd. Right? Like they are.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
Ingrained. Like they can cite every Star Wars reference, recite the script to episode 4, 5, and 6.
Your preliminary statement makes an assumption about a nerd, and that a nerd is interested in science fiction films specifically. And here's where,
or can do the math or something. Ryan,
different kind of nerd.
Different kind of nerd.
Everybody has their talents, guys.
What are you nerdy about, Ryan?
Well, I mean, for you guys that don't know, I'm slightly obsessed with a woman by the name of Bette Midler. She
may have heard of her.
She's
a national treasure.
Very well. As you can see, I talk about her almost daily. I find a way to segue her into something. I'm actually a big outside person, so I'm learning a lot, and it is no joke. They do explain a lot of things to me. There's a lot of. I give this look that Norm is very familiar with, and he just immediately talks it down to my level, so I understand what he's talking about.
Ryan explains it.
Ryan explains it. Actually, there's a great story that I always tell people. It actually happened on Mythbusters. Is Eric, one of our producers, I came in and Adam used to have you had this. I'm going to say it correctly. Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
It's not bad, guys. Yeah. Stormtrooper outfit, and I walked in, and I was like, I love Super Troopers. And I was not allowed in that office for like an entire day. I was not allowed to come in.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of explaining that's done to me. But
that was you said that to Eric Haven, legendary Star Wars nerd, Mythbusters producer, and award-winning comic book artist. You were almost like harming what you were doing to him.
I think I did a little bit.
Yeah.
We never quite were this close after that. But yeah,
and it was your first year at Comic-Con too.
It's my very first year at Comic-Con. I hit two Comic-Cons here. My very first.
Silicon Valley Comic-Con.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and then you also helped. We ran the booth at the Crunchyroll Expo.
Yes.
A weekend ago,
which was a lot of fun.
Before this year, you had never done that type of convention.
Never
before.
been any type of a convention.
How about these kind of crowds?
I'm absolutely amazed. I said this, Norm. I've said it before. In Silicon Valley, there was this couple that came in. And they were characters for Galaxy Quest.
Yes, the aliens.
Aliens.
The Thermians.
And there was something just so genuine that you see. And it's just this moment of just like just love and just happiness and just like embracing these characters for this day that they have, maybe 2 days, and then go back, you know, they get to go back to their normal life and like, not normal, you know, to their life, their everyday life. And it was the most beautiful, it like literally broke me for like the entire day. I kept being like, those guys were so cute, they were so cute.
Because they came in character. They walked
character.
into the room not just dressed and up as, but performing.
100%. I mean, movements, that whole hand thing, which I can't emulate, and I don't want to offend anybody by trying to. But I mean, it was just, and so now every time I look at somebody that's in cosplay, I don't see, you know, oh, that's somebody dressed up. I see somebody having the time of their life for that day.
Yeah.
You know, I see somebody who spent, you know, weeks or months on this, you know, creating something, and they get to show it off. And like now I get just as excited. I mean, again, I don't know half of it is, but I get so excited to see the enthusiasm that comes out.
And that's totally that. I think if there's anything that's a requirement with us, it's that. Like, I love it when you bring me something that a fan has made, and then you get super excited about sending them something back.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? About like, oh, let's put something together, right? And that is precisely like, this is a relationship that we have.
Absolutely.
And it feels like we're guardians of something really special.
Absolutely. And like you're talking about the expo, you know, and you know, we're kind of in this, you know, this box, you know, we make stuff, we put it out and we read comments, but like, you know, and you get somebody that comes up and you know, we had all these props set up and people are like, I remember that video. I remember this video. And there's just, again, it's the genuine just love of just like, wow, I learned how to do this because of this. And like, that's like priceless. I mean, the worst day in the world's turned around after, you know, 10 minutes with somebody from college, you know.
100%. It was a little rough having Totoro out of my house for a whole weekend, the weekend of the Crunchyroll Expo, and I'm really glad that like hundreds and hundreds of people got pictures with Totoro. This Friday, my friend Steven's band, The Morning Line, played a show at the Makeout Room, and was that Friday or Saturday? I'm thinking, I can't honestly remember. It was one of those 2 days. Anyway, The Morning Line was fabulous. It was a great show. It was all our friends at the Makeout Room. We brought them all back to the house because, again, it was still 80 on the deck.
Yeah, right.
But as everyone came in, a bunch of the folks who came over hadn't been to the house before. And so they walk in, the first thing you see is Totoro in my foyer. And they're just like, oh, Totoro! Like, people are so psyched.
And just so happy. So happy. I just, kills
I
me.
think the only two things that we've exposed to that elicit that type of reaction is Totoro and Wally. Both those all ages, hugs, people like they are real, manifest in life size.
Yeah.
It just does something to people.
Totally.
There was also Dragon Con this past weekend.
Oh, yes. And I saw all sorts of wonderful photos from Dragon Con.
So
I had many great friends there.
There was another Totoro.
I got pictures of several Totoros from Dragon Con, all of them awesome.
Yes.
There was a super big one that was furry and beautiful.
Yes. With the mouth open, I believe. Kishore was there.
Kishore was there.
Kishore did a couple panels.
Sorry, Mayor McCheese.
Mayor
was
McCheese.
there.
He's embracing it full on. I think I saw him online. He ordered like cheeseburgers and handed them out late at night on the cheeseburger platform.
That is like how to build your army, honestly, at Dragon Con, because those folks will follow you forever for that kind of gracious generosity.
That's how you get that loyalty. Absolutely.
Subcultures within subcultures can be built over the course of a Labor Day weekend. We weren't there, but I mean, the costumes that come out of Dragon Con are probably some of the best.
Dragon Con is, I'm not going to say that it makes many other cons I've been to feel like amateur night, because it totally doesn't. But there is a saturation to the cosplay at Dragon Con that is really unique. It's a smaller con. On average, about 40,000 people go.
And it's a different type of structure.
Downtown Atlanta.
Right. It is open ballrooms, open atriums of interconnected hotels, as opposed to an exhibit floor with booths to buy stuff. This is a 3-day long, 72-hour party.
Yeah.
A costume party.
So recently, I was talking to someone about Dragon Con. You'll appreciate this. And they went, wait a minute, Dragon Con. That's on the East Coast? And I said, yeah. They said, in the South? And I said, yeah. And they went, is that the con with the carpet?
Yeah.
And I went,
fantastic.
Really?
Wow.
That's your intersection? Do you know about the carpet?
I have no idea.
Tell
Yeah,
this.
so Dragon Con's been in downtown Atlanta, and it is like 3 or 4 different of their major hotels connected. It's the Hilton and the Marriott.
They're all connected by like walkways, between the
skyways.
hotels.
You never have to leave outside. All AC because it's summer in Atlanta. And the
Atlanta.
Marriott is like the main hub. It's the center hotel, the biggest atrium, like Luxor style, right? In terms of like you see the hotel rooms and you see a giant space. And the carpet of Dragon Con, of that Marriott hotel, is so iconic to the people who've been going for years to this convention that people have found the pattern from or redesigned it themselves and made costumes and decorated entire outfits, skinned tiny cars to that pattern and gone camouflage or just hung out.
See, can I just say, like, that's the thing about the cons, that it's just like my heart just
But
fluttering right now.
But we have a friend of Tested
Yes.
who dressed up as a camo army man and had
Yes.
pictures of himself
Harrison, yeah.
taken that went super viral in the camo, and he got a cease and desist order from the designer of the fucking carpet.
Yes.
I don't often curse on this podcast, but that is, if you are part of that carpet company, that is the stupidest C&D I have ever heard of.
Seriously.
Really,
Yeah.
seriously, you are wasting everybody's time stealing oxygen with that dumb idea.
Seriously.
And then it was controversial because the Marriott changed the carpet for certain floors. It was like they had a big send off. Like, but this old carpet, this old design, is forever tied to Dragon Con
Yeah.
and the cosplayers. And people still dress up, even though the carpet's not there. They still dress up because they recognize that pattern.
Dude.
Is their group?
How,
Is there
isn't
tribe?
that us? No, literally.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
Some
how,
different
like in
levels.
Portland, people love the PDX airport carpet. Like there are certain, like it's a weird thing because you don't think about it. Who chooses the carpet for public buildings, for
Oh,
for
is that the
hotels.
Portland- what's
Yeah,
that?
PDX. Yeah, Portland. Yeah, people
the GPS, the
Yes.
satellite imagery
Yeah.
carpet. Ugh.
Yeah, and then
I've seen that yet.
when things go away, when these institutions go away, it's like the weird things that our town, our city, our group affiliates with. There's resistance to that.
I think that one of the other things that makes our jobs exciting and fun, and yours as well, is that it's different every day.
Absolutely.
The stuff you have to chase down and the people you've got to communicate and the things you have to arrange are radically different every single day.
Every single day. I mean, that's, it's funny to say, because people are like, well, what's a day like for you? And I'm like,
Who knows?
who knows? I'm like, depends on if Adam's in or not, because that's going to change. You don't know who's going to be when you walk in. You don't know which building. You know what I mean? Like, we have no clue what's going to happen. And the way we work is, we have, most everything we do is upfront and tested. So a lot of things are like, hey, tomorrow can we find out 2 hours? We killed 2 hours ago. Like, do something, and we figure that out, and that's really exciting. And but yes, people ask all the time. They're like, what do you? I don't know. I don't know. Sometime in the morning we get there. Sometime in the afternoon. There's a lot that happens. It's quite interesting.
Now, I also wanted to talk about something that was on the internet recently. We talk about movies a lot on the podcast. We
yes.
sometimes are critical of movies. We love movies. There's, for example, can't wait for Shape of Water. Have you seen the reviews for that?
Totally.
Through
I'm
the
actually
roof?
not watching any trailers or any
Yes.
reviews of it right now.
Yep.
Guillermo del Toro's new film. And we don't just love movies, we love making fun even of movies we love.
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to, having watched a lot of movies, be constructive in criticism. It's a thought experiment where we're not filmmakers ourselves, but we can have fun being fans. But there's a little bit of a toxicity in some of the criticism online, and this was brought up recently with
Shocking.
The director of Kong Skull Island.
Jordan Vogt Roberts.
Yes.
Yeah.
He took issue with some videos that were... there's a YouTube channel that makes videos critiquing films. And doing so maybe nitpicking in the most... maybe not the most kind ways.
And this, again, shocker, the internet can be unkind.
Right.
But this is not to say that Jordan Vogt Roberts cannot brook any criticism.
Right.
He is a friend acquaintance of mine. I know him, and I'm close with a couple of people who are close with him, and he's a delightful person who's like deeply introspective and is totally happy to make fun of himself. But go ahead and keep telling the story.
And so he actually did this Screen Junkies video series with Honest Trailers.
And
So
I love Honest Trailers.
And it's great. And he actually, Honest Trailers wasn't the one he had any problem with. He actually
Right.
he did a video with them to critique his own film and poke fun of it. Yes, and he said out front, the director's always going to be the harshest critic of themselves.
Right.
The director doesn't need millions of people or a big website or a big podcast or a big series telling him or her what they might have done wrong. They know all these things.
Yeah.
Like movies, the only thing they can do is try to make a movie not bad. As no one makes there's no way you can't make a perfect film.
But sorry, that's what our friend Angus MacLean said. It was lovely. He goes, the whole thing about being a director is your movie wants to be bad. It's trying to be bad. It needs to be bad, and your goal is to subvert that. You got to make it good in spite of itself.
Everything you can.
Did you see that film, Kong Skull Island?
I did. I very much enjoyed it.
I've not.
It's the last King Kong movie. It's in the share universe with the Godzilla film.
Brie Larson, Sam Jackson,
Tom Hiddleston. Yeah.
It came out just the last few months, right?
Yeah, a couple.
okay.
Yeah. I thought it was great. It's
also starring Mark Evan Jackson, in case anyone didn't know that.
there's a big action scene. It's not too big of a spoiler, but Kong, when they first encounter Kong, set in the Vietnam era, and Kong basically throws helicopters around and bashes helicopters
It's
together.
a really beautiful Kong. It's a good-looking Kong.
And the action is gorgeous.
The physics are very enjoyably accurate as far as,
And apparently, I didn't even know this. He addressed this in his Screen Junkies video, but people took issue with the helicopter math, saying in that scene there are too many helicopters. How does Kong have so many helicopters? And he said, "Well, you're going to see a Kong movie. You expect to see King Kong throw helicopters around. What do you want? 4 helicopters? Of course, it's gonna be a ton of helicopters. And guess what? The helicopter math works out. Because here's a shot with a boat, and the helicopter's coming out of the boat, and guess what's inside the boat? More helicopters.
Also, you're watching a movie.
You're watching a movie.
150-foot gorilla, and you have problems with the helicopters? It's amazing. I don't mean to scream, but
No, seriously.
yeah. This is...
And we're all guilty of this to some extent,
We are
right?
totally.
The gut response,
Yeah.
Social media and internet makes it really easy to be snarky, to put something out that is funny, but can be demeaning or mean to and not productive to the creative process.
So who did Jordan Vogt Roberts have a problem with?
Oh God, what is it? I forget. I
You have to
forget
look this
the
up
name
right
of the
now.
channel.
What's that?
I forget the name of the YouTube channel. It's another one of those like it's not Honest Trailers, but it's like them. It's like Cinema Sins. That's what it
Cinema
was.
Sins.
Cinema
There you
Sins.
go. And
Yeah.
he felt like they were filling space with criticisms where
Yeah.
they didn't have genuine criticisms. And I actually think that's a nice subtle note to give, because look, we are as aware as anybody else of the tyranny of producing content, of needing to produce X minutes of content for a thing and making sure that you're fully buttoned down. Even though it seems like, we're a bit of a shoestring operation, and by some metrics we are, you still have to get all your camera angles, your sound has to be good, your editor needs all this stuff, there's a lot of support, there's titles, there's graphics, all of that has to be done. And a small place like Cinema Sins probably has the same. They've got all sorts of demands. They've got advertisers. They've got clients.
Well, I also think that they can make the argument that they're cheap shots, if that's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
There was less criticism than it was satire, comedy, right? They
Right,
weren't
right.
serious criticisms. They were cheap shots on purpose because that's what the audience wants. They
Right.
want to nitpick on these things. That's what they're feeding them. But that can be subject to criticism too. If you're going to write a satirical review over nitpicking points of a film, you got to do it well.
Yeah, and Honest Trailers has taken some films I love to task, and they've also, you got to watch the Honest Trailers about Guardians of the Galaxy, because 2/3 of the way through, they're like, we love this movie. We're running out of shit to complain about.
Why am I not? I'm just gonna say. Why are you not sharing this with me?
Oh
more?
my goodness!
yeah.
Honest Trailers is like, give up 4 hours of your night tonight.
Okay,
Because you will
only
just
takes one.
after the boom and yeah.
Okay,
It's
I
like
need to-
doing that YouTube search for comedian owns heckler.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. I would definitely look into that because. Okay. But how did he respond though? Did he respond on a
So
separate?
he had a whole big Twitter rant about the CinemaSins video. And then at the same time, I guess he was already working on this Honest Trailers collaboration, and that video just came out today, where he critiques his own film with the Honest Trailers.
And I like
channel.
that. I like the fact that he's making it clear. Oh, I'm not above criticism at all. I'm even happy to participate.
Yeah,
just don't be lazy.
Yeah.
And he knows what film he's making.
Yep.
Right? Like no film can be perfect because no film can be the same thing for everyone.
I'm also, I should explain, I have a little bias here in that I know and like Jordan and his movie, and I have not watched either the CinemaSins or the Honest Trailer about Kong. So I clearly have a little bit of a side in this, but I'm taking a side, but it's not an educated position.
I mean, everyone with internet today, everyone can have an opinion, right?
And they do.
And they do. And the other reason I wanted to bring this up was because over the weekend there was the announcement of the Joker film, right? Warner Brothers is talking about developing a Joker standalone movie as a spin-off from Suicide Squad, the Batman films, and likely being led by Jared Leto. And there was a lot of resistance, to put it mildly, on the internet. And
Really?
One of our screenwriter friends initially tweeted something like, "I don't think this is a terrible idea," and then took it back and said he regretted messaging that because as someone who works in the creative process, there's no information. All you have is this announcement, and to just poo-poo an idea at the inception of it, without seeing how it can be developed.
Oh, no. I read a detailed, 1,000-word article about how stupid it was to set Wonder Woman in World War I.
Right.
And it was and this was the moment that fact became noted, before anyone had seen any pictures of anything. And someone's like, well, I need to spend 1,000 words telling you why this should never happen and this film will fail.
Well, did you hear about the 6 stages of fandom, right? It's like, I love this. I love this. I own this. I control this. I can't control this. I hate this. I must destroy this.
The other thing that happened very recently, it might even be today, is that Colin Trevorrow has been announced that he is leaving Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah.
I'd like to pause here and make a brief announcement to Kathy Kennedy. Kathy Kennedy. Is that my compressor going? That's great. So, Kathy Kennedy, we only met once. I was working on Episode 2 on Star Wars, and you walked into the room just at the very second my supervisor had said to me that we were going home early. And so you managed to walk into the room just at this moment that I was doing a pelvic thrust dance and shouting, "Who let the dogs out?" And I know that ignominious beginning does not necessarily give you the faith, but I'm just telling you that I'm in this in-between spot right now, and if you need me to step in and direct Star Wars Episode 9, I'm right there.
You could pull Ron Howard.
I'm ready to pull Ron Howard. I can lose some weight and get thinner because he's pretty skinny, and apparently that's necessary. I don't know. I'm riffing now. Anyway, I'm
Seconded.
ready. I'm ready. Put me in coach.
Yes.
It's official. It's out there now.
First AD.
That story, by the way, of Kathy Kennedy walking in as I did that is totally true.
Wow.
And by the way, we didn't leave early that day.
Oh, you wasted
Can I tell
it.
you, I
The
have
boss
this
came into
specific pet peeve is when your supervisor goes, "Oh, yeah, I know we're supposed to work till 7, but now it looks like we'll get out of here at 4:30," and you're like, "Oh my God, wow, that's us." And then at 4 is like, "Nope, we're staying till."
Oh, why would you do that?
That's harsh. That's right through
It is the worst thing in the world.
And the rest of that day is like, yeah.
It is you might as it's just like crawling on broken glass.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the end of Die Hard. Shoots the glass! Shoots the glass!
Adam, what have you been working on lately? I know last week we talked about the chair project that, and we'll be doing more coverage of that. But you've been working on some other stuff too, right?
Yes, we are. We just did a video where we were lathing some wooden bowls with a wonderful maker in the East Bay, and that will go up untested. I am finishing. I lathed half of a bowl in on that video. I'm finishing that. So I pulled my wood lathe out. This is hilarious because everyone in the Tested Cruise has come by the shop today and gone, "I didn't know you had a wood lathe."
Yeah. No, it's a
And
tool you have not used
you
yet.
guys have no idea what I have shoved into the corners of this place. Ryan says, "Do you have a laminator?" And I said, "Do you need a little one, or do you want like a whole sheet one?"
Yeah, is that, industrial?
Do you
Or,
need the
yeah.
hole punch that makes the rectangular hole? Because I have that too. So I've been getting the wood lathe back up and running because we're going to film that tomorrow.
Yes.
I have been working on. I'm just wondering where to begin with this story. But years ago, I bought a cast iron replica of the key that the Marquis de Lafayette sent to Washington from a son to his adopted. He wrote this beautiful letter. The Marquis de Lafayette was, of course, Washington's aide-de-camp, made famous by David Diggs in Hamilton. The Marquis then, after the Revolutionary War, went back to France and helped start the French Revolution, for better or mostly worse. But in the beginning, when it was all heady and everyone was excited, they stormed the Bastille. Then the Marquis de Lafayette sent the key to the front door of the Bastille to Washington, and it still hangs in Washington's foyer at Mount Vernon. And it comes with a beautiful letter that said, "From a son to his adopted father, from an aide-de-camp to his general, from a pilgrim of liberty to its patriarch."
Wow.
I send this symbol of the elimination of despotism, right? I found out in Ron Chernow's biography of Washington that the key was put in what was formerly a lantern housing. And that lantern house. So I bought a replica of the key, a cast iron replica of it, and it's not nearly accurate enough. So I spent a long time remachining it, burying it in my backyard. I'm not kidding, and like making it look exactly like the original. And this last weekend, I finished up some work I started months ago, making the lantern housing for the key. And I may actually make a silicone mold of the lantern housing so I could make more than one.
Yeah.
Because I did there's some like scroll work filigree on the bottom, and I sculpted that out of Sculpey.
Yes.
Again, I felt terribly guilty because I took pictures of the progress, but like I always feel a little guilty when it's not being covered.
That's awesome. And sculpting, you mentioned that last week when we were starting that. Yeah. I don't remember the last time you worked with Sculpey, just a sculpting, because you've been working with Delrin and you've been machining a lot.
Yeah.
And this is a different type.
It is, and I have a few pounds of Sculpey in the shop at all times, and I make sure it's like if you leave it around too long, it can get real crusty, and you have to throw it out. So I make sure I've always got good Sculpey, and I this was a very successful endeavor of trying the sculpt, and before I do the final weathering, I think I'm going to throw this into some silicone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be covering that.
And by the way, I have a second key, and we can film the cover. We can cover me machining that second key to be super accurate, because now I know how.
Awesome.
Right on.
You get a sneak peek into the pre-production process.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a great place to stop. I hope you guys are keeping cool if you're in the Bay Area. We have a bunch of stuff coming up on the site this week. We have a one-day build left over from Comic-Con. This is the foam sword you made.
Oh, wow.
Yes, foiling the foam sword. That's going to be on the site this week.
Wait. Foiling the LARP sword?
The
You
LARP
mean
sword,
making
yes.
it highly silver?
Yes.
The LARP sword that I was not able to bring
I
onto the
know.
floor at Comic-Con because we did not have time to wait on the weapons check line.
Yeah.
Look, I totally understand the weapons policy. I'm just a little perturbed the organizers of Comic-Con for the position we were ended up in. But it's no biggie. No biggie. We still had a really great time there.
Check that out on the site. And for members of the Tested Premium community, we announced this year's gift for members, and it is going to be a vinyl, 45, a record of Adam's live recording of the Brain Candy song from Third Man Records. So,
Yes.
That's been announced. If you're a member, if you've been a member since May 31st or renewed any time between then and end of this year, you'll get that record.
Yes.
So, details are on the site.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well,
Excited.
And thanks, everybody, for joining us as well.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.